Speaking of pass rush, the latest from Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk. Apparently, Maxx Crosby says he's done with the Las Vegas Raiders. He's referring to a report by Jason Lockenfora of sportsboom.com in which an unnamed GM told Lockenfora, quote, he told Tom Brady he will never play for the Raiders again. That's a fact. He told them he'll retire before he ever plays for them again, but I'm not sure they're actually going to trade him. Myles Garrett said the same thing last year, and we know how that ended up, end quote. And what's your reaction to this idea that Maxx Crosby's done with the Raiders, and should that have the Bears poking around and trying to really get a plan together to make a trade for Maxx Crosby?
I'm impressed that Maxx Crosby was able to look into Tom Brady's wee beady little eyes and tell him he wasn't going to play for him anymore. A lot of folks might find that imposing or intimidating.
Might have been
even
a text.
just his dreamy eyes. Yes, maybe it was that. Maybe that's exactly what it did. Just sent him like a voice text or something like that. All right, Tom, here's the deal, man. I'm not going to come see you, but here's exactly what's going on. But Maxx Crosby's 28 years old. So from a health perspective, the meniscal repair that he's going through, when you remove meniscus, you recover more quickly, but the long-term health of the joint, in this case of the knee, isn't viewed as something that's going to be, sustain itself as well. You get it repaired, the recovery is longer. That's the good thing where you're getting this done over the off season. Now the few months it'll take, he'll still be Maxx Crosby again at the age he's at right now. So he'll step into whatever locker room he steps into over the offseason or next training camp or whenever that takes place, and he'll be one of the top pass rushers, one of the top defensive ends in the sport. From a Bears perspective, do they have the capital available? Do they have the not only cap space but personnel available? Just almost similar to a Bulls conversation here.
Oh, no.
What do they have to go get Giannis? Is it available to them? What do the Bears have to go get Maxx Crosby?
They do have
cap space and in personnel.
Second round picks mean more in the NFL, just to point that out for you, man.
But
John
the
Greenberg
issue-
doesn't understand that, though, by the way.
But the issue is what they've already invested into the defensive front. That's a huge factor within this because you've gone really big into Montez Sweat. You've gone fairly heavy into Grady Jarrett, into Dayo Dangbo. You've got a position group, and you should continue to put draft capital into it as well because that's a continued investment. But they have also done that pretty consistently also. They just haven't had any of these draft picks hit at a really high level. So that to me is my concern, is how much of your cap space by percentage can you continue to invest in the defensive front to go get someone like Maxx Crosby who will come in here, and will he be looking for a new deal? Maybe not a new deal, but he is going to be a guy who comes in, and the amount of financial wherewithal that you would now have invested into the D-line, to me, seems like it negates that potential. Whether you're talking Maxx Crosby or even when Myles Garrett was demanding a trade, there's certain names that have a dollar value that to me is likely beyond where the Bears can go with their current D-line situation.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right. And, yeah, he's like 28 years old is Maxx Crosby. He's like that. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. There's like, okay, that's it. Now I got to get out of here. Because he did put up with it.
Yes.
For a
put
while.
up with a lot of foolishness.
He really did. And then he got sober. See what sobriety does, folks? You get sober and you're like, oh, my God, there's so many things that could be so much better.
Clarity
from
of
him.
thought.
That's
of
right.
purpose.
That's right. Exactly. That you can be better. And I think that's part of what's
I
going
mean, am I missing something? Like I don't know. I'd be excited for Maxx Crosby to show up here and be a member of the Bears.
You're not missing anything.
You're not willing to do the accounting.
It's really tough. I mean, but it seemed inconceivable when Khalil Mack came here as well. So anything is possible. But you're right. You'd have to make some pretty tough decisions, Anthony Herron.
They didn't already have one of the highest paid defensive linemen in the league on their roster in that meeting room when they went and got Khalil Mack. That's the difference. They already have Montez Sweat as one of the highest paid defensive linemen in the sport. Dayo Dangbo isn't too like he's off that pace, but he's also a really highly compensated defensive lineman they have in here. It's one thing to have a bunch of first-round picks and not be able to keep them all when it's time to pay. They got guys in that D-line meeting room already that have gotten that bag, that have gotten to that second or third contract already at this stage in their career. There's a sizable chunk of the Bears' salary cap and draft capital that's already invested into the D-line.
Yeah,
so it's not just about this season's cap number. It's about that one position group. How much of it can you allow the defensive line to take up to add one more player? And how big of a difference does Maxx Crosby make to that defensive front? He will certainly make a difference anywhere he goes, but I'd be curious to see. I don't know if it's Greenberg or Biggs or Fishy Business. Somebody put that number together, and I would love to kind of read how that shapes up, how much of the Bears' cap and draft capital already is eaten up by this D-line that has definitely underperformed, but now they're in this tricky spot because you can't just go out and get anybody else that you want to because the money's available, because then what do you do at additional depth at running back? What do you do if the wide receiver room looks different because maybe you move on from DJ Moore and you got something else that's happening there? What do you do with all these defensive backs that you have to either sign or let walk? What's happening at linebacker? There's a lot that the Bears have to figure out with the roster to continue to bolster it. And oh, by the way, you don't have a left tackle. So there's a lot the Bears have to figure out with the roster, and there's already so much tied up in the D-line room.